So what are 5 characters that I want to see get added to Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled? Let's discuss right now.
I got hot sauce in my bag, swag.
Hello there, beautiful human. My name is RidersDX and welcome to my channel, where today we're talking a little bit more about Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. So if you watched my previous video on Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled, I kind of discussed the possibility of there being 10 brand new characters being added to this remake of the game. If you want to check that video out, then I'll leave a link in the top right corner right now. But I think the evidence there, while it's not that much, it's pretty indicative of there being more additions to the roster. So we're gonna go ahead and discuss today what are 5 characters that I would personally want to see in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Of course, if you have your own ideas on what characters you want to see, then please let me know in the comment section below and I would love to discuss it with you. Before we get started, I just want to plug in today's fan art. So this comes from a user named PlayStation-san. They joined my Discord server recently and then they shared this really cute pixel art of metal duckos. I'm loving it. I don't really see the eye anywhere, so actually I really like it because it looks a little creepy in a way, and I think that's a really cool thing to have, like, because metal duckos in general is very creepy. So I really dig this. I think they have a YouTube channel, so I'm gonna leave a link to that in the description box below if you want to go check them out. But thank you so much for making this. Like I said before, I love pixel art, so this really makes me nostalgic for pixel art, and yeah, thank you so much. But okay, let's go ahead and get right into our list. At number 5, I would love to see Tawna from the original Crash Bandicoot make an appearance as a playable character in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. So one of the unfortunate things about the Crash franchise is that there's not a lot of female characters that are represented in the franchise. I would love to see them, inject more female characters in future titles. It's a little bit empty right now in terms of like how many female characters there are. Now I don't want to see them like add like 10 brand new female characters to this game. Like, that's definitely not what I want them to do. That'd be pretty overwhelming. It would definitely seem like they're trying to appease the gender equalities a little bit too much. So I think in future new titles, or maybe in this title actually, if they want to add like 1 or 2 new female characters with a couple titles here and there, then that would be really great. But for now, you should definitely utilize the female characters you have in the series right now. And Tawna is pretty iconic because she was in the first Crash Bandicoot, so that's one thing already. And also, she didn't really make any other appearances after that. I think there was some kind of controversy with her back then where she was a little bit too sexualized and they were trying to make Crash Bandicoot appeal to like children. So that's probably why she wasn't used anymore. But nowadays, I think people are a lot more lenient towards that. Video games have definitely become a lot more tolerating in terms of like what kind of content we can have in there. So I think it'd be perfectly appropriate to have Tawna come back in this game. Plus, she was included in the original Crash Bandicoot remake in the Insane Trilogy, and she looks great. She already has a model made for her, so I would imagine it not being too difficult to insert her in the game because they're using the models from the Insane Trilogy in this game. So you already have Tawna's model made for her. You just need to design a cart for her, and yeah, be pretty simple, and it'd just be a great way to kind of give a callback to the original Crash Bandicoot. At number 4, I would love to see Crunch from Graphic Cortex and all the games after that come back in this game as a character in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. So Crunch Bandicoot is just someone that I think is an obvious choice. He's an ally of Crash and he's a bit of a rival too, kind of like Sonic and Shadow, but a little bit more easygoing and all that. And Crunch Bandicoot is just a really cool character. I would love to see him come back in the game, and he was actually in both Nitro Kart and Tag Team Racing, so I think it's just really appropriate to have him come back in this game because he's a pretty significant Crash character in comparison to other people that are actually in Crash Team Racing. So I think it's a pretty obvious choice. I know that Graphic Cortex didn't really have the best reception amongst fans and critics, but I think Crunch Bandicoot was a really great addition to the series, and I would love to see him come back in this game as a full-on playable character. Plus, I would love to see how they would redesign him, because one of the best things about the Insane Trilogy was seeing how all the characters got redesigned from the ground up in this new art style that I absolutely love. It's probably my favorite I've ever seen Crash and his friends design. Like, this is definitely the best look that they've ever had, and I know that's saying a lot because Crash has had a lot of like design changes throughout the years. This is definitely the best one in my opinion. I love how Crash looks right now. I love how Coco looks. I love how Cortex looks. I love how everyone looks in the games now. So I'm just really curious as to how they would redesign Crunch. The next character I would love to see in a remake of Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled is Dr. Nitrous Brio. So first of all, I was actually pretty surprised to find out that he wasn't actually an original playable character in Crash Team Racing, just because he had such a significant role in both the first game and the second game. Like, you would imagine that he would be one of the first choices that they would include in the game, but no, Dr. Nitrous Brio was actually not included in Crash Team Racing, and I just think that's a very confusing choice when you had other boss characters in those games that were not as big as he was. So I really think this is a no-brainer. If anything, they should go back in time and put him in the original game so that we could have another spot for another character. But no, Dr. Nitrous Brio is iconic, and he was definitely a really big major character in the first two games. So I think that by far we can definitely expect to see him in the game. Like, he's definitely up there in terms of my choices. He's a really cool villain, and he's not always loyal to Cortex, so that's a really cool different thing about him. It definitely made the story of the second game a little bit more interesting, but like, I think it's pretty much a shoo-in for this game. You know, if they are going to add any characters, which like I said before in my previous video, they most certainly are, he's definitely going to be one of the first choices they're going to think about. Like, he was in the original games, he's loved by many fans. It really is a no-brainer in terms of like what characters to put into this game. Coming in at number 2, speaking of obvious choices for this game, number 2 on my list is Spyro the Dragon. So, like I actually did make a video before on how it seemed very likely that Spyro was gonna be a character in Crash Team Racing. If you want to go ahead and check out that video, I'll leave a link in the top right corner right now. I think that video explains really well why it's very likely that Spyro is gonna be a character in this game, and has some actual evidence to back it up. So, Spyro the Dragon and Crash have a really big history of each other. You know, they were both the PlayStation mascots, they were both tossed around to different developers for a long time, and I think it's just very fitting that they came back together under the same publisher and both have recreated trilogies of their original games. Honestly, their trajectories in the gaming industry have been so similar and so conjoined together. It just makes a lot of sense to have Spyro be a playable character in this game. Not only do I think Spyro will be a playable character in this game, but I also think there'll be a track or two based on his franchise. So that'll be really cool to see. So I can't wait to see what they do with Spyro if they include him in the game, which, like I said before, seems very likely. I actually just got the Spyro Reignited trilogy, so I'm really excited to get into it. I haven't had a chance to actually pop it into my PS4 yet, but I'm really looking forward to playing it and seeing what changes they made and all that. I hadn't played the original game since I was in like elementary school, so I'm very excited. So coming in at number 1 on my list, this is a character that could be in this game, might not be in this game for other reasons. You know, we're really not sure. I think if they want to include this character, they could, because Activision has included this character in the Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant games, but the one character that I want to see most added in this game is Nina Cortex. So one reason that I really want to see Nina in this game kind of has to do with my nostalgic reasons. So my first Crash Bandicoot game was actually Crash Twinsanity. I know that's really strange among Crash fans. Most people grew up with the original trilogy. I actually could have grew up with the original trilogy as well. I did have a PlayStation 1, but for some reason my dad never bought me the Crash games, so I didn't really know who Crash was until I saw Crash Twinsanity in stores and thought, oh, that looks interesting, let's try that out and see how it is. And I loved it. It was very difficult for me as a kid. I definitely threw the controller on the floor a few times as a kid, but Crash Twinsanity was my very first Crash game. It's still to this day one of my favorite Crash games ever. So Nina Cortex was a big reason for that. I loved her gameplay in Crash Twinsanity. I think it'd just be really cool to see her come back in this game as a playable character. She really should remain as a staple in the Crash franchise, especially because she had such a big role in Crash of the Titans in particular. I love that she was, well, I won't actually spoil it in case anyone's not actually played it before, so I won't talk about that. But anyway, Nina Cortex is such a badass character. She went from like being this very quiet but very evil child in Crash Twinsanity to being a full blown out villain in Clash of the Titans. It'd be really cool to see her come back in this game, because obviously she wasn't in the original trilogy, the Insane Trilogy, for the fact that she wasn't a part of the original games. But now they have a chance to add characters from other games in the franchise into this remake, and Nina Cortex to me is the most important choice of them all. I really love her. And like I said before with Tawna, there's a very severe lack of female characters in the Crash franchise. So Nina Cortex just has all the reasons to be added in this game. But okay, that is my top 5 list of characters that I want to see in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Let me know in the comment section below if you like my list or you don't like my list, and let me know what characters you want to see the most added into Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Be really curious to see what your choices are. It's going to be really great. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like these, want to see more in the future. Follow me on Twitter at RidersDX or join my Discord server, the Spongy Garden. And this is Riders, riding out.